رب العالمين وصلاة ربي وسلامه ورحمته وبركاته على ذاك النبي الكريم نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, as we continue 7:35 Sunday, February the 3rd, 7:35 p.m. Sunday, February the 3rd, 2019, which agrees with Jumad al-Ula, or the month on the Hijri calendar, Jumad al-Ula, 27 عام 1440, the year 1440 after the Hijrah, Mustafa alayhi salatu wassalam. We was continuing the Masail and the matters that were mentioned in the last part of the chapter, which is still in the chapter we've been discussing for the past couple of lessons, rather for the past week rather. As we're still in the chapter, Bab ma ja'a anna sababa kufri bani Adam wa tarakahum dinahum wal ghuluw fi salihin. The chapter which comes in the reason for the disbelief of the children of Adam and them leaving off the correct religion due to extremism in regards to the righteous. As we arrived to the last part of the chapter, we were in, or actually we mentioned the matters, and we arrived, I think, to the 8th. No, we mentioned the 5th. We're in the 7th, or the 8th. On the 8th. 8th or the 9th, it doesn't matter. As-salamu alaykum wa barakatuh. We did the 9th? No, man, no problem. We could just mention a little bit of, we'll reiterate. So the 8th masala, ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, as we discuss, الثامنة فيه شاهد لما نقل عن السلف أن البدع سبب الكفر. He says, in it is the testification or the testimony of what has been conveyed upon the salaf. You with me, Canada? You sure? You guys alternate. He's sometimes tired and you tired. Sometimes you're energetic, he's tired. But the testimony that what has been conveyed upon the Salaf, that innovations is the reason for disbelief. As we said, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, that baridatul kufr, or the reasons for disbelief, are plenty. And you've heard the Salaf say that such and such is baridul kufr. Focus, brothers. Baridul kufr. It's the road that will lead to disbelief. Right, everyone? طيب. We said that the asbab, or the reasons to lead one down a road of disbelief, they're not just disobedience and sin. As a lot of people think. They think that al-ma'asi baridatul kufr. وهو كذلك. It is a road to disbelief. The sins, the disobedience of Allah and His messengers, also the path to disbelief. The path to lead you to the road of what? Of disbelief, of intikas, fi deen. The person will regress in his religion as a result of evil actions and disobedience. No doubt, that's established. But there are other asbab, there are other reasons for why one could what? Could also land himself in a state of disbelief. And we said, you'll find that the great Imam al-Shaykh, if you look in your books, we said that the great Imam that he mentioned has said, فيه شاهد لما نقل عن السلف أن البدع سبب الكفر. They said that the testimony of what has been conveyed upon the Salaf, that innovations is the reason for disbelief. So that's another reason. So a person has to be very careful. As we said, innovative practices and newly invented matters in the religion can likewise lead one down a road of disbelief, which is very dangerous and very serious. We also talked about last class about sins, how minor sins, if one is not careful, if they accumulate, and a person becomes in a state of ghafla, of heedlessness and inadvertentness, or being inadvertent of the minor sins, also likewise. It could become an affair that is very serious, to the point where also it can lead you down that road. However, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, like we said, in regards to innovations, we said that innovations is also pertaining to some type of discrepancy in the belief system. So innovation, it goes back to some type of discrepancy in the fundamentals, or the basic foundations of the religion. But at any rate, we talked about how all these matters can affect the individual, especially innovations. And we talked about the hadith of Hudayfa, which is mukharrajun fi Sahih Muslim. We already talked about that and discussed it last class, right, everyone? We discussed about the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, تُعْرُضُ الْفِتَنْ عَلَى الْقُلُوبِ كَعْرُضِ الْحِصِيرِ عُودًا عُودًا. We already talked about that. فَأَيُّ قَلْبٍ أُشْرِبَهَا نُكِتَ فِيهِ نُكْتَةٌ سَوْدَاء وَأَيُّ قَلْبٍ أَنْكَرَهَا نُكِتَ فِيهِ نُكْتَةٌ بَيْضَاء حتى تصير على قلبين أبيض مثل الصفا فلا تضره الفتنة ما دامت السماوات والأرض والآخر مرباد كالكوز مجخيا لا يعرف معروفا ولا ينكر منكرا إلا ما أشرب من هواه. That hadith. The Prophet ﷺ clearly mentioned and said that all different types of trials and tribulations and all types of atrocities that will affect one's heart are constantly being exposed or constantly being shown to the hearts of the children of Adam. And as we talked about, as long as the children of Adam are in this dunya, then there's always a struggle of him fighting off those affairs that might nullify his belief or that might taint it. It would be from disobedience. And he's in that struggle, even though those affairs are constantly being shown to him consistently on a daily basis. We talked about the individual that fights it and the one that tries to ward it off by, of course, by the proper knowledge and also fortifying himself with not only uprightness and obedience and being around the correct people and embracing the correct belief, but also when he falls short, he makes tawbah and returns back to the truth. That's all a part of what? It's all a part of one's rectification of his heart and protecting his heart from deviating. You'll find that a lot of people that deviate is because of their arrogance and belligerence. They don't return back to the truth after they what? Make a mistake. They always want to try to protect their so-called status with the people. That's what they care about. Not realizing of what is between them and Allah is the most important. So you'll find that the majority of people that deviate, you'll find that a lot of them are very arrogant, belligerent people. And like we said, rectification of your heart is if you fall short or if you fall into a mistake, then you return back to what is the truth, and you make tawbah and sincere repentance to Allah. And you try to rectify what you were incorrect in, or where you made a mistake in. It's that simple. And you try your best not to fall into it again. But however, you'll find that once a person continues in that particular path of destruction and mistakes and become belligerent and arrogant, and they continue down that road, you'll find what comes as a result of it is regression in the religion. Either they will deviate, or some of them, like we said, either apostate. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. The majority of those people, like you'll find, that deviate or they apostate or deviate, you'll find in a lot of cases, a lot of them are very arrogant and belligerent, especially if they had some type of knowledge. Very belligerent and very arrogant. And you'll find, like we said, a lot of the callers of evil of today are people that want to protect their status instead of what? Trying to rectify between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of returning back to the truth. And also likewise, manifesting true, sincere repentance with all the conditions and prerequisites fulfilled by also announcing to the people, if he made a mistake in front of the people, then also announcing it to the people. And this is how you'll find that the status of an individual becomes raised. You'll never find that a person that is raised with Allah and raised amongst the people the truth, and notice I said key word, people the truth, you'll find that the reason why they're raised is because when they make a mistake, they're able to return back to the truth, and they try to retract and they rectify what they might have been incorrect in, or where they were mistaken in. You'll find that those people there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raises their status. The people who continue down a road of belligerence and arrogance and try to conceal or try to say, oh, so-and-so took my words out of context. That's a lot of people, falsehood always they mention. They take that route. Oh, they took out of my context. Or they try to say, for example, oh, that's a lie, even though you might place something clear as the sun in the sky that they said such and such. Them still not making tawbah and retraction and fulfilling all its prerequisites, you'll find that they are the people who's destroyed you in most cases. That those people you'll find, like we said, they continue on the road of belligerence and arrogance, and it would be a reason why those black dots are put on their heart until it continues, until their heart ultimately becomes corrupted. And you'll find that regression happens in their religion as a result of it is what, everyone? What we just mentioned last class. What they used to call to yesterday, which is to be upright as far as in monotheism, they switch it. They switch it and now leave that off and call to something that is what? In contrary to that, which is a polytheism. Or if they was calling to the sunnah one day, they become switched, they regress in their religion until they start now what? Either calling to bid'ah or remaining silent upon it, not saying anything or speaking out against it. That's another type of regression. And you'll find that your tongue is moist to the awliya of Allah, from the people of sunnah, and the people of hadith, and the people of the correct belief system. You'll find that your tongue is moist speaking about them, whereas the people who are destroying Islam and the people who are distorting its light and distorting its correctness or soundness, you'll find those who are truly what? Destroying it. You'll find that those who are destroying its principles and its fundamentals and are truly rectifying and destroying or trying to destroy the fundamentals, because nobody can destroy the fundamentals, but those who try to make war with its fundamentals or destroy its fundamentals or destroy its basis or destroy all of it, you'll find that they are very soft with them and making every excuse in the world for them. Whereas your tongue is moist for the Salafis, and every lesson, every chance you get, you find yourself speaking ill about the people, the truth. You'll find that these are the people who what? Have regressed in their religion. Like we said, ya ma'ashar al-ikhwa, this matter is very serious, of bid'ah and of sins and a major sin and a minor sins. If one is not careful, like we said, it can lead to you becoming either from those who apostate, if you're not careful, or from those who deviate with those deviant sects that are out there as a result of some of these affairs that we mentioned. Either, number one, we said what? Either because of innovations, innovative practices, or innovative beliefs, which are the worst form. Innovative beliefs, innovative practices. All these affairs are from those matters that will call you to regress in your religion. You'll go backwards. Or sins. As sins halts the person. He halts him in his sayr, or him going towards his Lord Ta'ala, embarking upon what is correct and the gardens in the hereafter. Sins hold you back also. It will keep you what? Stagnant. And if you're not careful, it will make you regress. And also likewise the minor sins. For one is careful with that, likewise we do not want it to accumulate. So you'll find a great imam that even mentioned and said about this, even the minor ones. He said, وَكَذَلِكَ حَضْرَ مِن مُحَقِّرَاتِ الذُّنُوبِ وَضَرَبَ لَهَا مَثَلًا بِقَوْمٍ نَزَلُوا فضرب لها مثلا بقوم نزلوا أرضا فأرادوا أن يطبخوا فذهب كل واحد منهم وأتى بعود فأتى هذا بعود وهذا بعود فجمعوها فأضرموا نارا كبيرة. وهكذا المعاصي، فالمعاصي لها تأثير قوي على القلب وأشدها تأثيرا الشهوة. To the end of it. He says, from those things that will lead you down a road of kufr, he said number one is sin, of bid'ah. That's number one. Number two, disobedience. Number three is also muhaqqarat al-dhunub. The minor sins that people deem to be what? Light. It's not a big deal. Muhaqqarat al-dhunub. Those sins, those evil acts that are minor, that the people find to be very insignificant. Until he said, the great Imam, Sheikh Muhammad bin Salih, he goes on to say, the Prophet ﷺ gave us an excellent example about this, about a people. He said that they came upon a land and they wanted to what? Cook something, or prepare some type of food. So everyone came with a little bit of what? Of oud, a little bit of sticks. And that one came with some oud, and that one came with some oud. That one brought his, and then that one brought his, and then that one brought his, until they all gathered it, and they all accumulated it, until what? فَأَضْرَمُوا نَارًا كَبِيرًا. Until they set off a huge fire. He said, just like that is disobedience. It has a strong influence upon the heart. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? The deviance of, for example, the Jews, of what happened with them, is their deviance upon, as far as their scholars, not their followers, but their scholars, their heads, of those from their so-called scholars that misled their people. Was there a reason for them misleading their people? Was it upon desires, firstly, then ambiguity or doubtful matter? Or is it upon a doubtful matter and desires? Which one? Which one would say that the scholars from for example, the Jews, of which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said his wrath descended upon them? Why did he say that his wrath descended upon them? Because of their heads. Their heads learned and had knowledge. What was the thing that caused them to change the legislation of Allah? Was it a doubtful matter or was it desires? Was it doubtful matter, then is there desires? Or is there desires, then they doubtful matter? Or did it came, or they came in degree, or just in steps, gradually? It was a desire that led down the road of what? Of doubtful matter. Which one? Jayid. Great point. Amir had mentioned it, said that the Yahud, or the Jews, had knowledge. So there wasn't a doubtful matter, meaning their heads. I'm not talking about the people who followed them. Their heads, who are considered their prominent from their people, who are their scholars. They were their leaders, their scholars. So they're scholars. Why would we say that it emanated from, or it was based upon, or the reason for it was what? It was desires. Why? Because you'll find that the majority of people, especially amongst the same thing that they fell into, is exactly what a lot of the deviant sects for the Muslims who are from their heads fall into today. You ask them, a lot of them, from their heads, why are you misleading the people in teaching them what is incorrect? They'll say this out of their mouths. Yeah, don't you see that, the money they give us? Don't you see that, the nice house or where I live in? You see the nice place? Do you see the respect they give me? See the reverence they give me? So basically, Shaitan put in his mind that if I was to embrace the truth and leave it off, I would lose all this. All this is going to go away. So is that a doubtful matter or is that a what? Desires? Which one? Desires. So, shahwa, desires with the Yahud, was the reason why they changed and altered the religion. Because they started doing things that will what? Aid their desires. And aiding their status. Aiding their money. Aiding and maintaining the high position that they had amongst the people. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? Is it clear what I'm saying, Camden? You sure you with me? Sure? Don't worry, I got Camden. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. You got to switch. See, the day you're good, then he'll switch. He's exhausted, and you up. You somewhat upbeat today. Type. So he said in this regard, we say that the Yahud, their scholars, they're prominent from amongst them. Who was their scholars? The reason why they fell into what they fell into was based upon what? We said shahwa. Shahwa pulled them and motivated them to altering the religion and changing the legislation of Allah in order for them to what? Attain some type of worldly status or worldly affair or money or respect or reverence from their people, what have you. So all this to so-called maintain their kingdom or leadership or high status that they possess, they altered the religion of Allah, changed it, and it was motivated based upon what? Desires. Based upon what? Based upon desires. Even though bid'ah or innovation, in most cases, that it is initially founded upon or its reason is due to a what? A doubtful matter. No doubt. You understand, everyone? You with me, Camden? But however, the majority of the heads, especially those who do have knowledge, that what motivated them to change or alter the religion, so their what? Their followers become affected of a doubtful matter in their what? In their religion, is because of their heads or their leaders are the ones who want it some type of status or wanted to maintain it. So that's the reason why it was motivated, or the thing that actually pushed them to falling into this, to the alterations in the religion, or them changing it, was due to what? Desires. And like you said, I remember even when we was reading some of the explanations of the great Imam Hamid Liwal Jarh wa Ta'dil Sheikh Rabi', he was even mentioning in Aqidat al-Salaf, he says, if you find, and this is exactly a direct correlation of what we're mentioning now, he said, you'll find that a lot of the heads from the Sufis and from the deviant sects, especially those who are educated from amongst them, they're so-called prominent, they'll say and they'll confess, the Salafis and the people of Sunnah, they are upon the correct path. They'll say, what you guys are upon is correct. Belief system is sound. What you guys embark upon and what you practice is sound. It's correct. It's the truth. So then you ask them, so why are you misguiding the people? Same thing with the Jews. They say, Akhi, don't you at least see my car? You see the house I have? You see the respect the people give me? You see all the money that's coming into place and to the masjid, all the different types of monetary assistance we receive, all the money we get, all the charity that's donated to us? Don't you see this? So their fear is what? That all these things and all these affairs will what? Go away from them. So this is the case with a lot of the deviant sects. It applies. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns us not to be like the Yahud from the Jews, out of fear that you fall into it. And this is exactly what happens with a lot of the deviant sects from the Muslims. And I'm going to read exactly what the great Imam that he mentions, it says, rahimahullah. He says, in regards to what we're saying right now, he says, you'll find that the most severest of what will influence the individual is desires. He says that desires, or he says a shubha, he said a doubtful matter, he says, relatively speaking, is on, he says it's a little bit easier than if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it easy upon an individual to remove, because it can be removed by knowledge, inshallah, if Allah makes it easy upon a person. He says because you'll find that a shubha or a doubtful matter, that it usually affects a person, it affects a person that's ignorant. He doesn't have knowledge of an affair. And he said, and it could be removed by what? By learning, or one being educated. It could be removed by what? Learning, or one what? Being educated. Which he said in a lot of cases. But there are some cases where the opposite can happen, no doubt. But this is in most cases. He says, as for desire, especially for the individual that he intends falsehood. He intends it. He intends falsehood. He said, for verily, this is an atrocity in which it will kill a learned person, a scholar, and a person ignorant. He said, that's the reason why you'll find that the disobedience of the Jews is greater than the disobedience of the Christians. He said, because the disobedience of the Jews, it was motivated, or the reason for it was what? Desires. They intended what? Evil. They already had knowledge. They had it already. But so they intentionally wanted what, everyone? They intentionally wanted what? They intentionally wanted evil and falsehood. In regards to the Christians were ignorant. So they were led astray by what? A doubtful matter. By a doubtful matter. This is what he goes on to say. He said, even though innovations in most cases is due to a doubtful matter. Understand, everyone? So, however, you'll find that a lot of it is what? The reason for it is desires, or what's its motivation, or is motivated by desire. He said, وَلِهَذَا يُبَيِّنُ الْحَقِّ لِأَهْلِ الشَّهْوَةِ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْبِدْعِ. And for that reason, the people of truth clarify the people of desires from the people of innovation. He's not talking about its followers. He's talking about who? It's the heads. Talking about the heads of the prominent from amongst them. He said, for verily they're the ones that continue and insist upon it, because the majority of them, listen what he goes on to say, وَيَقْصِدُ بِذَلِكَ بَقَاءَ جَاهِهِ وَرِئَاسَتِهِ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ دون صلاح الخلق ويظن في نفسه ويملي عليه الشيطان أنه لو رجع عن بدعته لنقصت منزلته بين الناس وقالوا هذا رجل متقلب. That's what he goes, exactly what we just mentioned. Most cases that he intends that his status and his leadership remains between the people without rectification of the creation. And he thinks this in himself. Whereas the shaitan is dictating upon him or making him think that if he was to what? To retract. You hear me? You with me, Camden? If he was to retract from his innovation, his status would diminish amongst the people. His status will what? Diminish and become less amongst the people, or he might lose it at all. That's due to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. You'll find that that was one of the reasons of what took the person, somebody called sawarif al-haq or sawarif an al-haq. Sawarif is something that takes you away from the truth. From those sawarif, you'll find during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, from those things that made or came in between a person accepting the truth is the fact that he was afraid that his worldly status or his kingdom was going to go away from him if he embraced the truth. As it happened during the time of the Messenger of Allah, where he sent a message to some of the kings, or to one of the kings, I can't remember which one, but he sent it to him, or the messenger was sent to him, and he read it. He knew in his mind it was the truth, so he took it and tore it up. I think it was Hercules, I think. But he tore it up. Until the Messenger of Allah ﷺ that it what? That you'll find that his kingdom became what? Took it away from him. And it also was what? It was also ripped away, and it was also decimated. Until the Prophet ﷺ he tore up the letter, and Allah Ta'ala tore him up. And he said that the Prophet ﷺ is said in the narration that he thought that if he was to embrace the truth, his kingdom was going to what? Going to diminish and go away. Rather, the Prophet ﷺ said if he would embrace the truth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would increase him, and his kingdom becoming stronger. Would increase him. Why is that? What's the confirmation of that, everyone? Due to the fact that every person that opposed Allah and his messenger and the Kitaab and Sunnah, you'll find that none of their status was raised amongst the people of the truth. So keep in mind the words I'm saying. Those who called to falsehood was never raised with Allah and the people of the truth. They were never raised. Those who called intentionally to falsehood, even though they knew, of course. You'll never find that they was what? Raised in status amongst the creation. And when I say amongst the creation, I'm specifying the people of the truth. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? Due to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, I'm going to say quickly what the Prophet ﷺ talked about, that if Allah loves an individual, Allah will reveal to Jibreel that I love so-and-so, so love him. Jibreel will say it to the rest of the angels, and then it will be put for him acceptance in the earth, right, everyone? The great Imam, Shaykh Muhammad Aman al-Jami, rahimahullah, when he explained this hadith, he said, there's two things we could take from this hadith. That the individual who Allah loves, he will give and make acceptance for him in the earth. The great Imam, Shaykh Muhammad Aman al-Jami, when he was explaining this narration, he said, acceptance of the earth does not mean that he's accepted with the enemies of Allah. That he's accepted with the enemies of Allah. That his status be raised with the enemies of Allah. Because the enemies of Allah more likely make war with him or hate him and speak ill about him. Some of them might respect him, and some of them will what? Will hate him and detest him. So he said that the meaning of the hadith, that acceptance will be put in the earth with the awliya of Allah, with the people of Tawheed, the people of the truth, the people of the Sunnah, the people of the correct methodology and the correct understanding of Islam. Those are who Allah will give acceptance of that individual, meaning from his awliya. That's the meaning of the hadith. So it's not a prerequisite that he be accepted with the people of who? The people of the truth. People of falsehood, excuse me. The people of falsehood. That he be accepted with them. So that's not the meaning of the hadith, he said. Some people would think, oh, it will be put for him acceptance in the earth. So he said, you find Imam Ahmad, Shaykh al-Islam, you'll find that a lot of people hate them. You'll find Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Wahab, a lot of the Sufis talk bad about him all day, night. So why is this doesn't agree with the hadith? Aren't they considered from the awliya of Allah? They're people of Tawheed, people of Sunnah, to the end of it. That's because you misunderstood the hadith. You understand? The meaning of the hadith, that he will be given acceptance with the awliya of Allah, from the people of Sunnah, the people of Tawheed, the people of Hadith, the people of Minhaj al-Salafi. That's the meaning of the hadith. That Allah will give him status with them. Due to the fact you'll find, for example, there's many examples of this from the Salaf of the past. For example, or from the scholars of the past. From them, for example, as we talked about, Shaykh al-Islam, Ibn al-Qayyim. Ibn al-Qayyim was a Sufi at one time. Was not mentioned. Did not have any status. He became from the great Imam of this religion. When he became what? When he studied at the hands of Shaykh al-Islam, and he became from the people of Hadith, the people of Sunnah, the people of Aqidah, and the upright belief system. That's when Allah raised his status. That's when Allah Ta'ala raised his status, when Allah gave him tawfiq to study at the hands of Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah. Then you notice that his status was what? Raised to the point where the people of the truth, their mouth is moist with what? With Ibn al-Qayyim in his statements. Rahimahullah. So at one time when he was Sufi, no status. The status came when he what? He became with the awliya of Allah and the defenders of the Sunnah and the people of Hadith and the people of Aqidah and Tawheed to the end of it. That's when his status became raised. Same thing with Abul Hasan al-Ash'ari. Same thing. He was not mentioned. Whatever. He was not mentioned. He was not mentioned with who? When he was Mu'tazili, not mentioned. When he was Kullabi, not mentioned. His status got raised when he made Tawbah. His status was raised when he made Tawbah. Allah raised his status. You understand, everyone? So his status was raised by what? By the Tawbah he made from the falsehood he was upon. Left it off, then his status was raised amongst the what? The people of the Sunnah. After he what? He made sincere Tawbah, and he returned back. Or rather, he embraced the Aqidah to Salaf until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him amongst those who his dhikr, or his remembrance, will always be what? Written in history. Of one of the greatest of those who what? Made Tawbah and returning back to Aqidah to Salaf. And until Allah ta'ala what? Raised the status. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? A lot of these affairs, brothers and sisters, you may think it's easy. But for Wallahi, a lot of people, it's hard for them to do this, even though you think it's that simple. Akhi, make a mistake, khalas. Clarify and keep it moving. You'll find that Shaykh Rabi' even used to mention this to a lot of people who were in opposition to Kitaab al-Sunnah. As I even sat with him and talked to him and seen how he deals with certain people, he said, Akhi, you made a mistake, just retract it, khalas. Just keep it moving. What's the problem? What's the issue? Just retract it. Make tawbah to Allah. If you made a mistake in front of the people, retract it. Khalas, keep it moving. Why do you keep wasting time? We got bigger things to worry about. But the person, what do you do? Continue upon belligerence, continue upon arrogance, thinking I'm protecting my status. I don't want thinking in the back of his mind that the people are going to start looking down upon him. Actually, the people are going to look down upon you when you what? You keep on your belligerence and arrogance. You understand what I'm saying? That's what makes people lose respect. When you continue down the road of being arrogant and belligerent and not saying anything and trying to cover it up and all this other, and try to then you go to a devil extent. You start to play mind games and say it's you that make the mistake. It's you, the people that don't understand what I'm saying. So everybody, 1,000, 100 people understood that way. You're the only person that understood it the way you in your mind that you thought it was supposed to be. Including the ulama were wrong too. The ulama didn't understand what I was saying either. Okay, so the people understand, the ulama understand. So shaitan made you this delusional to this extent. You understand, everyone? Is it clear what I'm saying? So, returning back to the truth is a virtue. As I talked about, brothers and sisters, a tremendous example. What happened with the great Imam whose status is raised amongst Ahlul Sunnah. High. Was the great Imam Sheikh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymeen, rahimahullah. I told brothers the story about what happened to Sheikh Uthaymeen. Sheikh Uthaymeen fell into the mistake of what? Of what they call, was pertaining to the ma'iyyah of Allah. To the ma'iyyah, that Allah is with the creation. He fell into a little mistake. It's known. Even Sheikh Muhammad Aman, he mentioned this. That he mentioned in this mas'ala what they call ma'iyyah, the ma'iyyah to Allah. That the Allah being with the creation. That he said that the ma'iyyah of Allah is ma'iyyatun dhatiyah. That the ma'iyyah of Allah is Allah in his essence is truly with the creation. That's just to sum it up. I don't want to get into detail. He said that Allah himself is with the creation. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? أن معية الله معية ذاتية وأن المراد بالمعية الحقيقية هي معية ذاتية. That Allah being with the creation in truth is that He truly is with the creation with His essence. So that reached some of Ahl Ilm. From them was the great Imam Sheikh Mahmoud At-Tawheed, rahimahullah. Sheikh Mahmoud At-Tawheed refuted it. Refuted that ambiguity that was spreading amongst the people. And of course, you know, the young youth, students of knowledge, are always causing a big ruckus and commotion. All the time. It's always some youth. Some impressionable, exciting, overzealous, enthusiastic youth. Always going to raise a commotion over everything. Right? Taib. So then, they started spreading it. The Ma'iyya of Allah, the Shaykh Uthaymin says, Ma'iyya is Ma'iyya Dhatiyya. That the Ma'iyya Haqiqiyya, that the intent by Ma'iyya Dhatiyya. So Sheikh Hamud At-Tawheed found it, that he did say that. Taib. He refuted it. Clarified the mistake. Taib. Sheikh Uthaymin, somebody gave him what Sheikh Hamud At-Tawheed wrote him. He read it. What did he do? Sheikh Uthaymin do. The great Imam. Sheikh Uthaymin, did he say, these people don't know what they're talking about. Oh, you misconstrued what I said. Oh, he took it out of context. Obviously, you didn't understand what I said. Oh, I don't got to retract. I don't have to do anything. Who's Hamud At-Tawheed? Don't you know who I am? I'm the great so-and-so. He didn't do any of that. He read the book. You know what he did? He called Sheikh Hamud At-Tawheed. Talked to him. And you know what he said to him? He said, may Allah reward you. I didn't know that. SubhanAllah, I'm wrong. May Allah reward you. He says, this refutation was against him. You know what Shaykh Uthaymin said? You know what he did? Not only did he retract it, you know what he did? He took Sheikh Hamud At-Tawheed's book and wrote in the introduction that the actual refutation is about me. Before you read the actual refutation in the book, he's talking about me. He's talking about me. That I fell into a mistake and I retracted. And I was wrong. Where's the status with Shaykh Uthaymin now, everyone? High. High all over the dunya. There's nobody that mentions except you'll find that Shaykh Uthaymin says what? His name is mentioned. Especially with Ahl Sunnah. Right or wrong? You go all over the dunya, Shaykh Uthaymin is known. You go now, Russia, his name is known. Siberia. You name it. Any country there is. Even Ireland, because I heard scholars, it's heard of Salafis in Ireland now, I heard. Yeah, scholar is Salafis in Ireland. I couldn't believe it. Abu Khadija told me. Remember I talked to Abu Khadija Abdul-Wahid from Salafi Pub last year? Because years ago, I was in Scotland. I went to Scotland. People say, you was in Scotland? Yes, I was in Scotland. Yes. I was in Scotland. Yes, where they wear kilts and all that. At any rate, when I was in Scotland, so I talked to Abu Khadija. Abu Khadija said there's Salafis in Ireland. I said, wow, in Ireland? You mean where John F. Kennedy is from? He said, yeah, where John F. Kennedy is from. Yeah, John F. Kennedy was originally Irish. He was from Ireland. At any rate, he said that, yes, there's Salafis in Ireland now. And I'm sure there was no one in the dunya that you'll find that there's a country in the land except Shaykh Uthaymin's status is what? Is raised. This is what happens when you retract. And this is what happens when you admit your mistakes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will what? Raise you. Belligerence and arrogance is what, everyone? It puts you down and humiliates you. Is it clear what I'm saying? That also is in our personal lives and our marriages too. That's also very true. In your household, there's no problem for a man to admit when he's wrong. That will raise your status with your family. And same thing, women. It's no problem to say when you're wrong. That will raise you. Be committing things that are evil, and then trying to justify it, that's what's going to cause your marriage to go sour. And that's what's going to cause your family to break up. And then you're going to have problems with other spouses who you marry because it's you that has the problem. You understand? Type. So retraction to the truth raises one's status. And that a person that follows his desires and being arrogant and belligerent or trying to hold on to some dunya, that's what usually what causes his status to be what? To be put down or to be humiliated. So that's the reason why we said, Ya ma'ashal ikhwa, he says, فيه شاهد لما نقل عن السلف أن البدع سبب الكفر. We already talked about that. So that's the reason why we said that the reason for why the Jews went astray was due to what? Due that it was motivated by what? Desires. The Christians went astray due to its motivation being what? A doubtful matter. Especially their what? Especially their followers. That they were easily affected because they didn't have any ilm. They didn't have any knowledge. طيب. So that just to sum up everything, Camden. Sum up everything. Just to sum it all up. That bid'ah, the reason for it, it could be a reason for disbelief. Just to make everything concise. That the reason for it, that could be a reason for what? Disbelief. However, do not think that the statement that al-ma'siyah, baridatul kufr, or that sin will lead you down the road of disbelief, that's the only thing that will lead you down the road of disbelief. Because that's the statement that's famous. Of course we know, and that is correct. Sins will lead you down the road of kufr. But that does not mean that there are other reasons that will lead you down the road of what? Kufr. Is it clear what I'm saying? Is it clear, everyone? طيب. Ninth, معرفة الشيطان بما تؤول إليه البدع ولو حسن قصد الفاعل. Knowledge of the shaitan. Knowledge of the shaitan for what innovations, what it leads to, or what it will end up to. Now keep in mind, what does it say here? Even if the intent of the one who did it is what? Is good. What does he mean by that, everyone? That the person of innovation, that all innovation is what? Is evil. Even if the person intended what? Good. And he will be held accountable, he will be sinful, especially if he knows what he's doing is what? Is an evil or innovation. You with me? I'm going to start giving you, I know what I can give you. I'm 41 years old. You're supposed to be more energetic than me. I'm the one with the gray beard hairs. طيب. So the person, if he's knowledgeable about what he does, then like we said, he will be held accountable, or he will be sinful, due to that bid'ah. Even if his intent is what? Good. For verily, if a person, for example, if he barked upon disobedience, for example, the person that says it's permissible to lie or cheat, and he claims that it has some benefit in it. What's due to a benefit? Of course, if a person is ignorant, is he held accountable or is he somewhat sinful? If he's ignorant. Person just, for example, entered the fold of Islam. Committed an act that was incorrect. What do we do? Clarify it. طيب. We still clarify to him that what? The action was still what? It was still incorrect, so he needed some redirection. He needed advice. He needed to be corrected. Based upon a person that's ignorant, he's taught. Especially if he's ignorant, then we use some gentleness. But the responsibility of what? Clarification and advice still has to be what? Established. No getting around it. You understand, everyone? Clarification still has to be made, even if they're ignorant. even though it might necessitate some gentleness due to the fact of the circumstance, of course. So that shows that not all disobedience, that a person is not held or is not sinful if it's with what? Except if it's what? If it's upon knowledge. A person has knowledge of it, then here now it's clear that what? That a person is held accountable because he knows what he's doing. So now, what about the person who's ignorant? We say, and I want everyone to listen to this. This is very important. A person that's ignorant, that individual, of course, that did not know, could be given a reward for his intention. But that's only for Allah. It's not for us. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will what? Reward him for his intention. Especially a person that's what? A person that's ignorant. A person that's ignorant be rewarded for his intention. But however, his action is still not, it's not correct. It's rejected. But he can receive some reward due to his what? His intention. Listen to what Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah, that he mentioned in his book called the Obligation of Clinging to the Correct Path and Opposing the Inhabitants of Hell. It's called Iqtida' Sirat al-Mustaqim. The obligation of clinging to the correct path by opposing the inhabitants of hell. This is what he goes on to say. He said, فَيُثَابُ عَلَى نِيَّتِهِ دُونَ عَمَلِهِ فَعَمْلُهُ هَذَا غَيْرُ صَالِحٍ وَلَا مَقْبُولٌ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ وَلَا مَرْضِي ولكن لحسن نيته مع الجهل يكون له أجر. Clear. ولهذا قال صلى الله عليه وسلم للرجل الذي صلى وأعاد الوضوء. He's talking about the hadith of the tayammum, which is in Abu Dawood. I'll read it quickly. Anyway, the person that's ignorant, he said he could be rewarded for his intention besides his what? His action. He says that action is not what? Righteous. Meaning it's not what? Acceptable. It's not acceptable with Allah, nor is Allah pleased with it. However, due to his what? His good intention, despite his ignorance, he will have some reward. He will have a reward. And for that reason, the Prophet ﷺ said to the man that prayed, then he repeated his wudu. After he found water. What is he talking about? He's talking about this hadith, and I'll give it to everyone right now. I just had it. Here it is. No. Due to this hadith, which is in Sunnah Abi Dawood, on the authority of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, hadith is, inshallah, is Hasan. No, the hadith is not Hasan. Hold up for 1 second. AbdurRazzaaq al-Ishbili. التصحيح. Oh man, I gotta find it. Anyway, hadith is authentic. I just wanted to know whether it was Sahih or Hasan. But anyway, Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, which is in Sunnah Abi Dawood, that is said about them. It's said about. It's said about there was two men that left out in their travels, and the salat came in. There was no water around. There wasn't any water they could find. So what they both did, they made tayammum. As we know, tayammum is to take dirt and wipe it over what? So from the pure ground, strike it, and just wipe over your face and your hands, and that's it. That's tayammum, summarized. So if anyone know tayammum is, if there's no water around, the salat comes in, you just strike your hands on the earth or the ground or the dirt. You wipe your face and your hands, and that's it. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Taib. So they prayed. Then, after that, one of them found water before the next salah or the time went out for that one. So one of the men used the water, made wudu, repeated his salat. The other didn't. The other didn't. Both of them came to the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What you think, which one was correct and which one wasn't, everyone? So what'd you say, Amir? The one that didn't repeat, he said. Do you agree with him, Camden? You just saying it just to go along. Thought, what do you say? The one that didn't repeat did what was correct. What do you say, Qurban? The one that didn't repeat. What do you say, Abdullah? One that didn't repeat. What do you say, Jamar? You. The one that repeated or the one who didn't repeat? The one that prayed twice or the one that prayed once? Meaning when he just made, he sufficed with tayammum and prayed that salat by itself. That's correct. Taib, what do you say, Ja'far? You said you're good. Which one? The one who didn't repeat. What do you say, Mujahid? Jayyid. All you guys' answers are correct. There was mentioned a hadith that he said to the man who just sufficed with the tayammum at the time when they didn't find water. They said, Asabta sunnah. You have what? You have done the sunnah. The sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Asabta sunnah. The other one that did it, he did something extra. That wasn't what? Legislated. So the first salah he prayed was what? Correct. However, the other one, he still had reward for it because he did it, of course, out of what? Ignorance. Did it out of ignorance. So he still got a reward for it. So he said that you have two rewards for the one who what? The one that did it twice. Even though it was correct and the sunnah was to only pray what? Once, and that sufficed you. But you have the reward. Did he get the reward of praying two obligatory salats, everyone? No, he didn't. No, he didn't. One was from the obligation, and the other was for what? Intention. And ignorant. Yeah, you can say that too. Or you can say he had the reward for just a voluntary prayer. For voluntary prayer, but not for obligation. But he was rewarded due to his intention and lack of knowledge. But his intention is what allowed him to get the reward. His intention. Without the knowledge. You understand, everyone? Tayyib. If he had the knowledge, then it was coming upon him just to suffice with what? Just that one salat. So he made tayammum in at the time where the salat was in. At the time when the salat was still in. And let's just say they did find water afterwards. Then that what he did was adequate. Is it clear, Caden? You said no? Oh, you said no. Okay. Tayyib. So all this is to show what, everyone? That a person that's ignorant, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will what? Reward him due to his what? His intention. His intention. However, like we talked about before, the intention and Allah rewarding it, that's between them and who? Allah. The creation is still incumbent upon us to still what? Advise him. Teach him. Redirect him. Rectify it. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? So no one, because a lot of people falsehood these days, because that happened to me last week when this guy came in, who's a Sufi, and he tried to say to me, you don't know what they intended. His fundamentals were so wrecked, I didn't even know where to start. I was like, oh boy, it would be hours before I would be able to make him understand certain things. Because I had to start with the mere 1, 2, 3 ABCs. And that's the majority of their followers. They're fundamentally wrecked. Wrecked. It is very hard to correct an individual when they're fundamentally, not destroyed, but they're fundamentally, what'd you say? They're fundamentally off. It's very extremely hard to correct a Muslim that is fundamentally just thrown off. It's extremely hard. You have to start with the what? The mere just basics. And if I would have been that with him, I would have been there for 2 or 3 hours. So he even said, yeah, just because they make a dua, I tell them, Allah, you don't know his intention. Not realizing that minhaj as-salafi was the correct of the Muslim is what? The minhaj, the methodology is what, everyone? As far as his intention, that's between him and who? Allah. But what he's still doing is what? Incorrect. What he's doing is wrong. No matter if you have a good intention or not. And he's still corrected. And he's still refuted. And it's clarified to the people due to the fact that what? He's misguiding a lot of people. Openly. As Ali Jifri is. And Ali Jifri, he has some things he's exactly what, he felt he's doing things that even the Kuffar Quraysh didn't fall into. That's what he's calling to. Yes. Saying that the woman, what he said was from a statement. He has a lot of statements. This totally makes your skin crawl. From them is that the awliya, so-called awliya of Allah, they have the ability to create in the arham of the woman, the womb of the woman. You get that. SubhanAllah, the awliya of Allah, the awliya, or your so-called awliya Sufi scholars, they have the ability to create. That was not even an i'tiqad of the Kuffar Quraysh didn't even believe that. The Kuffar Quraysh never even believed that. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? Something pathetic and truly disgusting. Not even during the time, just keep to. At any rate, like we were saying, that a person who's ignorant will be rewarded due to their intention, despite of their action still being what? Rejected, incorrect, and wrong. And like we said, due to the fact that depending on the situation, a person is either advised, he's advised with gentleness and kindness, depending on their situation, if they're ignorant, and if they're in a state where they know what they're doing, then they might need some assertiveness. You understand, everyone? Need some assertiveness, especially if they do it upon knowledge. They need to be what? They need some harshness, especially if you've been Muslim for years. And that's what a lot of our brothers and sisters have seen, and certain people that you're not expecting certain things from. You're expecting on them to automatically know. And they're still doing certain actions. But you've been Muslim for years. You still doing this stuff? Yeah, you have to be gentle. No, I'm not being gentle with you because I love you. I know you for years. You're still doing this pathetic nonsense? Say it just like that. We've been doing this for 10, 15 years. No, I'm not being soft with you now. I'm doing this because I love you. Just like sometimes you stern with your kids, you stern with people who you love, especially them in years for years. You know better. I've been telling you this 50, 40 times. You know better. You understand? A person that just came in the religion, of course, you have a little patience, gentleness, and redirect them with kindness. You understand? Instead of jumping down their throat. Okay, brothers? Type. We stop here because I heard the bell ring. We'll stop here. Put a note on which masala, which one, everyone? Oh, wow. All right, we'll stop at 10. Just put a mark on 10. We'll stop here. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. As far as the question about the ma'iyah of Allah, the ma'iyah of Allah is truly haqiqiyah. The ma'iyah of Allah is truly haqiqiyah, but it's not ma'iyah dhatiyah. It's ma'iyatu al-ilm, wal-kala, wal-hifz, wal-ta'yeed. The ma'iyah of Allah is with His creation and His knowledge and His power and His dominance, tabarak wa ta'ala, and His aid and His help and His tawfiq. But the ma'iyah of Allah is not ma'iyah of Allah being with the creation is not in His essence. You understand? The ma'iyah of Allah is in His what? In His ta'yeed, in His nasr, in His aid, in His help, in His what? His tawfiq, and all these other affairs of protection. That's the ma'iyah of Allah. You understand, everyone? It is true ma'iyah. The ma'iyah of Allah is truly with the creation. Truly. Do not say metaphorically. That's incorrect. Do not say the ma'iyah of Allah is majaziyah. The ma'iyah of Allah is not metaphoric. The ma'iyah of Allah is true. But it's not with His essence, even though it is true. Understand? Yeah. The knowledge of Allah, the ma'iyah of Allah is truly with His creation, His knowledge. in his aid, in his help, in his protection, in his tawfiq to the end of it. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? But he is above the creation. Similar to that is Allah's closeness. Allah is truly close with his creation. Don't worry, Camden, I'm going to explain it right now, then we'll stop. Allah is truly close to his creation. What do I mean by that? Same thing, by his knowledge. Don't worry. I'll explain it. How is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being close with the creation is more in depth and more powerful than your own friend, and he's right next to you? How? Listen to this. When we say, first of all, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is close to his creation. How? Allahu a'lam. But now we're going to explain it. We don't know the kayfi of it. But listen. First of all, we have the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Certain people translate this wrong. That the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in the hadith before you go to bed at night. Tremendous hadith. You say you make wudu, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say you lay down. If you say this dua, tremendous dua. Allahumma rabb as-samawati wal-ard wa rabb kulli shay. فالق الحب والنوى منزل التوراة والإنجيل والقرآن العظيم أعوذ بك من شر كل دابة أنت آخذ بناصيتها أنت الأول فليس قبلك شيء وأنت الآخر فليس بعدك شيء وأنت الظاهر فليس فوقك شيء وأنت الباطن فليس دونك شيء اقضي عن الدين وأغنني من الفقر. Tremendous dua. Tremendous. The Prophet ﷺ say, if a person says this before he goes to bed at night, or if these are from the supplications, because there's a lot of them. That person will make this. If you die, you die. In the state of fitrah, as it takes the narration. I'm going to have to check it. It's been a long time since I looked at this narration. It's been years. I need to start brushing up a bit. But anyway, the Prophet ﷺ said, if you make this dua, O Allah, Lord of the, Allahumma rabb as-samawati wal-ard, the Lord of the seven heavens and earth. As we know the heavens, there are seven what? Heavens, and there are likewise seven what? Earths. Yes. وَرَبَّ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ, the Lord of everything. فَالِقَ الْحَبِّ وَالنَّوَى, the one who brings about the فَالِقَ الْحَبِّ وَالنَّوَى, the one who brings allow the seed and the nawa, that little membrane thing that's inside of a date seed to come to bring about its what? Its plant, to what to grow, so it can sprout and creep. Anyway. فالق الحب والنوى منزل التوراة والإنجيل والقرآن العظيم, the one who descended the Torah, the Injil, the previous revelations that was sent down to Musa, to Jesus, and the last revelation, which is the Quran al-Azim. أعوذ بك من شر كل دابة أنت آخذ بناصيتها. I seek refuge in you from what? Everything of which is crawling upon, which is crawling on the earth, from the dabba, that you are in control of its forelock. This forelock is in your hand. Meaning that everything cannot harm you or benefit you except that Allah willed it to happen. Even if it's the creatures. You understand, everyone? Then he says that this is the last part, which is relative to what we're speaking about now. You are the first, nothing is what? Before you. You are the last, nothing is after you. You are the most highest, nothing is above you. You are the closest, nothing is more close than you. اقضي عن الدين وأغنني من الفقر. This is what the Prophet ﷺ said. After he made this long dua, he asked Allah for two affairs. اقضي عن الدين وأغنني من الفقر. He says, allow me to remove my debts, to pay off my debts, keep me free of debt, and enrich me from poverty. Right? When the Prophet ﷺ said, enrich me from poverty, meaning enrich me in my heart, despite of whether I have a lot of money or not. Still put enrichment in my heart, no matter what status I'm upon in society. Just enrich me in my heart. Make me content, no matter what circumstance I'm in. That's the true enrichment, right? So the Prophet ﷺ said, enrich me from poverty, right? So then, the point of the hadith is when the Prophet ﷺ said, you are the most closest, nothing is closer than you. Until ba'tan, laysa dunaka shay. Nothing is more close than you. Ahl ilm say that the meaning of qurb, the qurb of Allah, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's closeness in His knowledge and closeness in Him being dominant of everything, everything being in His the forelock of the creation is in His hand, tabarak wa ta'ala, meaning in His knowledge. That knowledge of that closeness, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has knowledge of what's going on with you, even though you don't know what's going on with yourself. That type of knowledge is more in depth and complete. Rather, it is the most complete of a closeness than your own friend sitting next to you, him being close to you, even though your friend is exactly close to you in his essence or in his body. But the qurb of Allah, meaning with the knowledge, is more in depth and is most complete because it's a knowledge and awareness of everything. And Allah has knowledge of everything. And if that's not closeness, then what is? If Allah has total knowledge of what's going on inside of you, you don't even know what's going on inside of you, then what is there anything that is closeness than that type of closeness that can exceed that type of level of closeness? Rather, the closeness of Allah's knowledge is more in depth than, like we said, than the creation of someone sitting right next to you. That's the reason why the Messenger of Allah clearly said, you are the closest, nothing is more what? Closer than you. Is it clear? Clear, Kaden? Are you just saying that because you're tired? You're just saying it. I caught you. He said, yeah, I'm just saying, I got to get out here, get something to eat, get some rest. Tayyib, is that clear, everyone? Is it clear what I'm saying? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not close to you in His essence. He's close to you in His knowledge. And He, tabarak wa ta'ala, is the closest because He is bigger than everything, tabarak wa ta'ala. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? Tayyib, we'll stop here. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. طيب, anything else, brothers? تفضل.